Hi everyone, Christina here. I'm back with day 4 of the Holiday Card Series for 2019. The Holiday Card Series is a series of Christmas and holiday cards that I upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. So if you want to make sure you never miss any of these videos, you'll want to hit that subscribe button down below. Don't forget the notification bell as well. So today's day 4, and I'm still on my kick using those Altenew metallic watercolors. And this time I'm going to do some really simple kind of like rainbow brush strokes on a background, and then pair it with some die cutting of snowflakes. So this is a really simple card to replicate. There's not a whole lot of like specific techniques involved, and it's going to be really easy to duplicate. So let's get into it. I'm going to be using 5 different snowflake dies from Simon on today's card. 2 are snowflakes that were released in previous years, and then 3 are new snowflakes for this year. Snow Flurries and Rena are older, and then I've got 3 new ones. These are Grace, Marie, and Leah. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute and work on the background using that Altenew metallic watercolor set that you've seen quite a bit this week. And I'm going to do a rainbow pattern going all the way across this black watercolor paper. And speaking of that watercolor paper, I wanted to let you know that this is the Stonehenge black watercolor paper from Legion. This is a really, really soft and kind of delicate watercolor paper. And so I have my paper cut down to the size of the card front, and I'm going to paint across the front and hope it doesn't warp too much. Starting out with this red shade, and I'm putting it right there in the center of the card. And that's because I'm going to do the rainbow colors below the red and also above. And I really wanted that red to be right there in the center. So I've got the orange, and then I'm going to bring in kind of a bronzy gold shade. And then I'm going to move to up above the red and move to this purple. Now this purple really surprised me. I love how it looks on top of the black. It almost has kind of a blue iridescent look to it a little bit. And then when you put the blue right on top of it or above it and they blend together, it's absolutely beautiful. So I added this green down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to hit this with my heat tool to speed up the drying process. You definitely could let this air dry, but I'm impatient and I wanted to move on to painting some additional layers. Now, if you wanted to keep it like this, I think it looks absolutely beautiful, but I wanted the colors to be even more intense. So I'm painting really fast. I sped up the video and I'm just doing another coat of paint. Same colors, kind of the same placement. I'm just letting it go across the top, and I'm letting them be just a little bit more transparent this time because I really want the colors to blend. So I hit that with my heat tool once again, and then I realized there was a lot of blue on one end, and I wanted to kind of bring that red back up a little bit. So I'm going to add another layer of red going into that purple, and then I'll end with the blue. And this is really going to get those colors to blend, and you can sort of see the colors underneath seeping through. You can see a little bit of that blue coming up through the purple. I think it turned out really well, and I love this whole idea of layering these metallic watercolors to get a more blended look. I hit that with my heat tool once again, just to speed up the drying process. And now I'm going to set that aside for a bit and work on the card base. I have some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110 pound cardstock, and I scored that at 5.5 to create a top folding card. I then used foam adhesive to adhere this directly to my card front, and then I die cut all of my snowflakes. I did the 4 individual snowflakes and then all of the smaller snowflakes in the Snow Flurries die set. And I just ran that through my die cutting machine. I cut these out of some 110 pound cardstock just so that the snowflakes would be really sturdy. I then used a Tim Holtz craft pick to poke out all the interior pieces of the snowflakes, and there were many, so I spent quite a bit of time doing this. That's one of those time-consuming bits of using very intricate snowflake dies like this, but it's completely worth it in the end because they look fabulous. So I arranged all of my snowflakes across my card. I wanted the largest snowflake in the center, and then sort of a diagonal motion going from the bottom left corner up to the top right. And I just used a few dabs of Gina K Connect glue in the center of each snowflake to hold it down to the card. I wanted the outer edges of each snowflake to sort of flutter up a little bit so they'd have a little bit of dimension. And I did also like scratch the
the watercolor painting in the spot where the center of the snowflake would be, and that helped me get the placement just right after I applied glue and used my tweezers to hold the snowflake over the area where I wanted it. And I did that for a few of the bigger snowflakes so I could get it in the exact place where I wanted it. After I glued all the snowflakes down, I decided to work on the greeting. I'm going to be using a greeting from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm going to stamp it on that same black watercolor paper. You could use black cardstock, but I really wanted the black shades to match perfectly, and since there was a little bit of that black watercolor paper showing on the edges of the card, I wanted to make sure they matched. So I stamped the Season's Greetings stamp twice on this watercolor paper, and that's going to make sure I have a really good impression since it is watercolor paper and a little bit textured. I used some Brutus Monroe Alabaster embossing powder, and then hit that with my heat tool until it was smooth and melted. I then took my scissors, and since I had my scissors out to cut out the greeting, I decided I would snip off the edges of the snowflake that go past the edge of the card. You could definitely leave those on there, but I plan to put this into an A2 sized envelope, and I knew I wouldn't have any additional room. Use those scissors to trim out my greeting, and then I grabbed some foam adhesive and put it on the back of the greeting so that I could place it over the top of that largest snowflake. That large snowflake is perfectly sized for this greeting, and I just used some tweezers to hold that greeting in place until it was in the perfect spot, and I used my fingertips to press it down. I decided to add a little bit of sparkle to this card, so I grabbed some 8mm and 5mm crystal sequins from Darice, and then used more of that Gina K Designs Connect glue and my tweezers to adhere all of these sequins onto my card. You can see all that fun sparkle with all those sequins. I think it turned out absolutely beautiful, especially with the sheen from those metallic watercolor paints.
I think you could recreate this card using a bunch of different color palettes. I think all blue and teal and silver would be really pretty, or even going traditional Christmas colors and do some red and green and gold. I think that would be absolutely gorgeous. I love all those snowflakes. I hope you guys enjoyed the die cutting today. I always do at least a couple cards every year with the snowflake dies that I designed for Simon, and this year was no exception. I had to do it. These snowflakes make beautiful cards. On screen, I've got 3 more videos for you to check out. These are the 3 previous years of the holiday card series. So this will be 2018, 2017, and 2016. And then if you want to see all the way back to 2009, I've got links down below in the video description. Thanks so much for watching today and for liking and subscribing. And I can't wait to see you guys on Monday for day 5.